Hi everybody, it's the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut. I hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So we got some bad news if you haven't heard earlier today. Mets Jeff McNeil has an oblique strain. He said he felt it yesterday, and when he came to the ballpark and wasn't feeling well, they did some x-rays on it, and they say he's going to be out 3 or 4 weeks. It is an extremely difficult injury to heal. And he's probably going to be out a little bit longer than that. So he's not going to be ready for the season. I would expect that he will not be ready probably until May 1st. Just off the top of my head, maybe May 15th. It's going to be a while. But, well, here's the thing. The Mets will give a chance to one of their young players to make the club. Some of them were on the bubble anyway, because a lot of the Mets players aren't like natural shortstops. You know, Brett Bae's not a natural shortstop, not really a natural second baseman. Although Luis Acuna, who's the other member of this group, is a natural shortstop. They are going to get a good chance to be the everyday second baseman going into the season and have an opportunity. We also have Donovan Walton, I believe, and of course, I think I'm getting his name right, and of course, De Los Santos. So these guys have a good chance to be the everyday second baseman until McNeil comes back, and hopefully they play well enough that McNeil will be relegated to sort of the guys who play every day, of course, but not be the second baseman. We want to see these guys have a chance to make this team. Brett Bae has the inside track on it so far because he's played the best this spring. He's been hitting home runs. He's been playing second base. And it's pretty happy with what they've seen with him. They've tried to get him to be very heavily influenced with Juan Soto. As you know, I did a video on him yesterday. If you didn't watch it, check it out. And of course, Luis and Acuna has a... Now, here's the thing. Now, they both have options, I believe. But Acuna, you know, he had the 2 weeks here last year. But obviously, with Brett Bae, having spent a lot of time here in New York and having a good spring, he's got the inside track to make the club. Also, you would think that maybe this also gives an opportunity to one of these other guys to make the team. So it increases the chances of these other guys to make the club as well. So, you know, Donovan, Donnie Walton has a chance to make the team even better. His chances go up. And, of course, De Los Santos' chances of making the team goes up too, because you're going to need a backup infielder as well. So what's going to happen is we'll see how this goes. There'll be clearly a competition between Bae and Acuna, and if that doesn't work out, the other guys will step forward. And if they don't step forward, then we'll have to figure something out. But right now, Brett Bae looks like he's in second baseman here, or at least one of the guys that's going to play a lot more than the other guys. Also, we got some other injury news, and that is Sean Manaea has begun throwing again. That's great news from his injury. I've not heard anything about Ricky Montas. He's way off. He's not coming back until June. And, of course, I know that Brandon Nimmo, we found Nimmo today. He played today, got a hit today. He's very slow, as you know, every spring. He's never ready, really, for the season until the season starts. Then he's ready to go. And it's just another situation where Nimmo is always late to the party, especially the spring training party. But once spring training is over, the real party begins, and he's always ready. And that's kind of what the situation was with him. I would say with him as well, the Mets should consider playing him and using him more as a DH moving forward, if not exclusively as a DH, and sparingly use him in the outfield. Mets have guys that they can play in the outfield if they have to. They have guys that can play left field. They can put Jesse Winker out there. They can put Starling Marte out there. They can put Alexander Canario. The interesting thing about Canario, he has no more options. So he has to make this team. If he doesn't make this team, they'll have to put him through the waivers or DFA him or whatnot. And if that happens, some team could possibly pick him up. Although I would mention the Mets traded cash for Canario in a trade with the Cubs a few weeks ago. But that's something interesting to look at. And that's pretty much it. But I want to thank you for coming by. This is the Baseball Hut, and hopefully you subscribe to this channel. This is the slow time of year. If you're watching the channel, where the views, that's how it is. every spring training, every channel's like this, pretty much. Not to the lows as this channel's gotten, but that's okay. I've noticed some subs have been coming in here, but again, I have the best commentary. I keep you up to date on what's going on with the Mets as much as I can. I'm way ahead of what everybody else does here. I give you the best insight, and really, quite frankly, you will be on the forefront of knowing what's going on with the club, one for everybody else's, because my mind is always thinking about the Mets and what's going on, and I always watch the club with an eagle eye. Although not so much in spring training, but when the season starts, it's like an eagle eye. So some players like moving lame, I'll know about and I'll mention it in the video. But thank you for watching this video. Of course, please subscribe to Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later. Hi everybody, it's the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut. I hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. So get some bad news if you haven't heard earlier today. Mets Jeff McNeil has an oblique strain. He said he felt it yesterday, and when he came to the ballpark and wasn't feeling well, they did some x-rays on it, and they say he's going to be out 3 or 4 weeks. It is an extremely difficult injury to heal, and it's probably going to be out a little bit longer than that. So he's not going to be ready for the season. I would expect that he will not be ready probably until May 1st. Just off the top of my head, maybe May 15th. It's going to be a while. But, well, here's the thing. The Mets will give a chance to one of their young players to make the club. Some of them were on the bubble anyway, because a lot of the Mets players aren't like natural shortstops. You know, Brett Bae's not a natural shortstop, not really a natural second baseman. Although Luis Acuna, who's the other member of this group, is a natural shortstop. They are going to get a good chance to be the everyday second baseman going into the season and have an opportunity. We also have Donovan Walton, I believe, and of course, I think I'm getting his name right, and of course, De Los Santos. So these guys have a good chance to be the everyday second baseman until McNeil comes back, and hopefully they play well enough that McNeil will be relegated to sort of the guys who play every day, of course, but not be the second baseman. We want to see these guys have a chance to make this team. Brett Bae has the inside track on it so far because he's played the best this spring. He's been hitting home runs. He's been playing second base. And it's pretty happy with what they've seen with him. They've tried to get him to be very heavily influenced with Juan Soto. As you know, I did a video on him yesterday. If you didn't watch it, check it out. And of course, Luis and Acuna has a... Now, here's the thing. Now, they both have options, I believe. But Acuna, you know, he had the 2 weeks here last year. But obviously, with Brett Bae having spent a lot of time here in New York and having a good spring, he's got the inside track to make the club. Also, you would think that maybe this also gives an opportunity to one of these other guys to make the team. So it increases the chances of these other guys to make the club as well. So, you know, Donovan, Donnie Walton has a chance to make the team even better. His chances go up. And, of course, De Los Santos' chances of making the team goes up, too, because you're going to need a backup infielder as well. So what's going to happen is we'll see how this goes. There'll be clearly a competition between Bae and Acuna, and if that doesn't work out, the other guys will step forward. And if they don't step forward, then let's have to figure something out. But right now, Brett Bae looks like he's in second baseman here, or at least one of the guys that's going to play a lot. More than the other guys. Also, we got some other injury news, and that is Shohei Mania has begun throwing again. That's great news from his injury. I've not heard anything about Ricky Montas. He's way off. He's not coming back until June. And, of course, I know that Brandon Nimmo, we found Nimmo today. He played today, got a hit today. He's very slow, as you know, every spring. He's never ready, really, for the season until the season starts. Then he's ready to go. And it's just another situation where Nimmo is always late to the party, especially the spring training party. But once spring training is over, the real party begins, and he's always ready. And that's kind of what the situation was with him. I would say with him as well, the Mets should consider playing him and using him more as a DH moving forward, if not exclusively as a DH, and sparingly use him in the outfield. Mets have guys that they can play in the outfield if they have to. They have guys that can play left field. They put Jesse Winker out there. They can put Starling Marte out there. They can put Alexander Canario. The interesting thing about Canario, he has no more options. So he has to make this team. If he doesn't make this team, they'll have to put him through the waivers or DFA him or whatnot. And if that happens, some team could possibly pick him up. Although I would mention the Mets traded cash for Canario and a trade with the Cubs a few weeks ago. But that's something interesting to look at. And that's pretty much it. But I want to thank you for coming by. This is the Baseball Hut, and hopefully you subscribe to this channel. This is the slow time of year. If you're watching the channel, we're the views. That's how it is. Every spring training, every channel's like this, pretty much. Not to the lows as this channel's gotten, but that's okay. I've noticed some subs have been coming in here, but again, I have the best commentary. I keep you up to date on what's going on with the Mets as much as I can. I'm way ahead of what everybody else does here. I give you the best insight, and really, quite frankly, you will be on the forefront of knowing what's going on with the club, long for everybody else's, because my mind is always thinking about the Mets and what's going on, and I always watch the club with an eagle eye. Although not so much in spring training, but when the season starts, it's like an eagle eye. So some players like moving lame, I'll know about, and I'll mention it in the video. But thank you for watching this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. It's the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, welcome back to the Baseball Hut, and hopefully you like this video. Hit that subscribe button. We actually got some City Field news for you, and it's about the land around the ballpark and around the surrounding area. As you know, Steve Cohen's wanting to develop it. He wants to put a hotel there. He wants to put a casino there and a park. Well, there was approval today by the New York City Council. I got a couple of things here to read you. First, from Mesmerize, Metropolitan Park Land Use proposes approval by City Council. Steve Cohen's vision of building the casino in the City Field parking lot took a step forward Wednesday with Metropolitan Park's land use and rezoning proposals approved 41-2 by the New York City Council. All 6 community boards voted to approve the project, 83% of board members voting in favor. Quote, the project is about more than building a sports and entertainment park, Councilmember Francisco Moya said. It's about creating meaningful job opportunities with 100% union jobs, investing back into our community, and elevating our local economy to unprecedented heights. There's nothing there. There's nothing been there for a long time. I mean, they've had the junkyards there and the auto shops, but really there's nothing there. Moya, along with Queensborough President Donovan Richards and Assembly Member Lorinda Hooks, have endorsed the $8 billion plan. The project is also expected to include a food hall of local vendors, a live music venue, and a conference space. It's also going to have like a little soccer stadium there too. Cohen's previously stated the proposal would create 23,000 jobs and improve public transit. The approval now allows Cohen and Hard Rock International to make necessary zoning changes to the land. Some obstacles still need to be cleared for the project to officially get the green light, including obtaining a casino license, which needs to be approved by the state's Gaming Commission. Cohen is competing against 11 others who are pitching casinos in Manhattan, the Bronx, Yonkers, Long Island, and Queens. The commission grants up to 3 licenses each year. While the project is overwhelmingly popular in Queens, Council member Joanne Arreola voted against it due to her support of Resorts World, which is located in Jamaica, just outside of her district. Quote, I don't think there's enough of a market share of 2 casinos in Queens, she told the Queens Eagle. If 2 casinos are in Queens, only one will prevail. Well, let the market bear out. Resorts World is already operating as a casino, but if granted a casino license, plans to spend $5 billion to expand into a larger venue. Since it's already operating, Resorts World is perceived as a favorite to get the license, although another casino, Empire City Casino in Yonkers, is expected to receive a license. Aaron Short of City and State New York wrote back in February. Short adds that Empire City has received support from MGM Resorts and become popular among Westchester business leaders. In addition to the casino license, Cohen needs a parkland alienation bill which Senator and mayoral candidate Jessica Ramos opposed in 2024. Ramos has said she doesn't expect to change her mind this year, and Cohen will also need an approval from the local community advisory community, which will be made up of a mayoral representative, a gubernatorial representative, a city council rep, the local assemblyman Hooks, the local state senator Ramos, and the borough president Richards. 2/3 must vote in support of the project for it to get the council's okay. Now, here's from a local perspective. This is from QNS.com. They give you a little more detail for you in this, hopefully in this video. City Council votes overwhelmingly in favor of $8 billion Metropolitan Park Casino zoning changes. The City Council has voted overwhelmingly in favor of modifications to zoning regulations for the planned $8 billion Metropolitan Park Casino development. Skip all this. The proposal also calls for a 25-acre public park, shops, and restaurant, a Taste of Queens food hall, the redevelopment of the Mets Wills Point subway station, and improved roads and bike paths. As you know, the tennis center is right across the street, right across the train station. So on the other side of the street on Roosevelt Avenue, you have the Arthur Ashe Stadium and the big tennis center there. Although the proposed development area is an asphalt parking lot, it is legally designated as city parkland, meaning zoning text and city map amendments must be approved before the project can proceed. The City Council approved the zoning modification in overwhelming vote on Tuesday after the Council's Land Use Committee voted 9-0 in favor of the development. All right, let me skip. Previously, 5 relevant community boards that cover areas bordering Flushing Meadows, Corona Park, overwhelmingly voted in favor of zoning text and city map amendments for the project. Wasn't that interesting? Queensborough President Donovan Richards also issued conditional approval of the project in December. However, both Richards and the relevant community boards only issued advisory reviews of the proposal. Okay, I mean, this is going to be a beautiful thing when they do it. Cohen, meanwhile, said the Metropolitan Park team had focused on creating a development that the local community can be proud of. Quote, Metropolitan Park will deliver 25 acres of vibrant public park space, 23,000 well-paying union jobs, and much-needed transit upgrades. It's time the world's greatest borough gets the investment it deserves, Cohen said in a statement. I mean, this is something that is going to be huge, and it's just going to open up the whole area for development, because the area has been underdeveloped for 50 years, since they've been in Flushing, the Mets. So it's been many, many years. I mean, they've not really done much there. Other than these junkyards and these auto body shops, there's nothing there. Now, what's good about the area is you can get there from multiple places. You got the highway. You can take the 7 train there. You can take the Long Island Railroad there. There's so many ways to get there. You can get there locally. You can take, you can take the street there. You can even walk there if you're local. I mean, it's really very easy. I mean, it's a long walk, depending on where you live. But it is very accessible, which is why, originally the architect of the whole complex, Robert Moses, wanted to put a ballpark there back in the 50s because he knew how it was like in the middle of nowhere, but it was in the middle of a center where all these different places, Roosevelt Avenue and the Van Wyck Expressway, and really just so much there. And it's so easy to get to. The convenience is excellent there. So this part of it has been very undeveloped. I mean, back in the 80s, you used to go there, and it used to be so like, my friend would drive us there, and we would go there, and he'd park his jalopy across. I mean, that's what it was. It looked like it was part of the junkyard. He'd park it across the street, these potholes that were bigger than the cars. And he'd park his car, and we'd cross the street. I guess where Seaver Way is, 41 Seaver Way, and you just cross that street, and and you go right into the parking lot, and then you get to the ballpark. That's how underdeveloped it was. I mean, it was really bad. I don't know if there's anyone living there still. There might be one resident still living there. But they'll be gone. They'll be gone. They'll force that person out. But This has been going on for a long time. I know that this goes back for 30 years. Rudy Giuliani, the former mayor, tried to get them to develop the area. And he was up against the wall there. Had a tough time developing the area as well. But times have changed. The neighborhood certainly has changed. And they want to develop that area. There's a lot going on there that could be really nice. And you get a really nice area. And then on the other side, you can see the city. So that's what's nice about where Citi Field is. And where Shea Stadium used to be. You can see the whole city, everything. Even parts of Long Island, Queens, Manhattan. It's just a great location, really, overall. Well, you let me know what you think about this video. And here's the thing, I care much about the area. Sometimes I talk about the ball club all the time. I really care about the area. That part of Queens is beautiful. I mean, really, it used to be really beautiful. It's not so beautiful anymore. But that is a perfect spot for a ballpark. It's a perfect spot to put a real nice small little community there for the fans to enjoy before they go into the ballpark. Really. Well, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Baseball Hut, and I'll see you later. Well, welcome back to the Prospect Hut. I hope you like this video. We're going to do a analysis from Mesmerized on one of the Mets prospects, Elian Pena, and they consider him the 7th best prospect in this system. And of course, subscribe to the Prospect Hub. We talk about Mets prospects. He is currently 17 years old. Elian Pena is a shortstop, 5'10", 180 pounds. They just signed him 2 months ago. He's considered the 3rd best prospect in the international pool. Now, let's get to it. The young Elian Pena makes his debut on Mesmerizer's prospect rankings at number 7, a $5 million signing bonus, and believe he was the best non-Roki Sasaki international free agent of his class. Will do that. He was enough of a prospect to register at bats in the Nicaraguan Winter League 2 years ago at just 15 years old. Wow. Signing out of the Dominican Republic, the 17-year-old hits lefty and man's shortstop, where he should be able to remain long-term as a solid defender. He's currently listed at 5'10", 180 pounds, but he'll surely grow into a larger frame as he ages and enters the Mets system. This is going to be a fun thing to observe for a few years. When Pena signed, Mike Mayer reported what the Mets think of the youngster. Quote, "Scouts I've talked to rave about Pena's knowledge of the game and hard work. He's known as a leader on the field, and the Mets love his makeup. They also rave about his plate discipline, which is way beyond his years, one of the best they've seen in recent IFA classes. As a left-handed hitter, he impressed early on with his ability to hit left-handed pitching at such a young age. Baseball America knows that Pena has a smooth, explosive, left-handed swing that remains compact and stays on plane to the hitting zone for an extended time, noting he could have 25 to 30 homer power. His outlook for 25. It's time for Pena to get his feet wet. For perspective on how young he is, Pena was born a month after the Mets blew the division in 2007. He's not expected to reach the majors until halfway through the next presidency. So probably 2030, I've been hearing. Pena is currently assigned to DSL Mets Orange. It's pretty rare for a prospect younger than 18 to come stateside, so he'll likely spend the full year in the Dominican Summer League. After that, pending how he develops this year, it'll be interesting to see if he takes part in the Dominican Winter League and how quickly the Mets move on his development. For now, though, it's a waiting game. It'll be a long time until Pena has any impact on the Mets at the MLB level. 2025 is the first up. Now, the thing is, the reason they're not going to rush him to bring him to the United States is they want to be able to sort of prepare him. What I mean by preparing him, teach him the English language, teach him the culture here. It's not just about playing baseball with the Mets. The Mets have a very large Dominican complex down there, and they are very attuned into what they want to do down there. Carlos Beltran is huge down there. This past winter, Juan Soto spoke to the graduates of this affiliate the Mets have. But like I said, this is not just about playing baseball. It's also getting them acclimated to coming to the United States, learn the language, learn the culture, and really being not to have any issues when they get here. So a lot of times they spend 2-3 years down in the DSL getting prepared, or less, depends. And he's a pretty big prospect. He's one of the Mets' bigger prospects, and he'll be number one before you know it. Well, you let me know what you think about this video. Of course, please subscribe to the Prospect Hut, and I'll see you later. All right, everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hunter. Welcome back to the Baseball Hut, too. I hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. Yes, we're going to talk about not one of my favorite subjects, and that's Trevor Bauer and a congressman in the U.S. of all the things to be worried about. Get rid of all the fraud, abuse, and bullshit. All the money that's being wasted. Worry about that instead of this goofball. But anyway, let's talk about Trevor Bauer. As you know, Trevor Bauer was in the major leagues. And he pitched for the Indians. Then he became the Guardians. Then he pitched for the Reds. And then pitched for the Dodgers. Then got into a little trouble. But he was in trouble. He's been in trouble his whole... He's had very strange interactions with people basically his whole life. Many people do not like him. Okay? They've had issues with him for many years. Now, your host has let it be known that I do not like Trevor Bauer. He's an effing goofball. He's an effing weirdo. But this congressman is doesn't understand. He thinks that this is politics. Why Bauer is not in Major League Baseball. Let me give him a little bit of a... We'll go through the article, and then I'll give him sort of a... what we're going to talk about here. Hold on a second. Now, here's an article from Outkick. Exclusive. Congressman calls out MLB Rob Manfred over Trevor Bauer absence. Suggests politics involved. It's not. He's just a weirdo. And he continues to have problems, too, by the way. Continues to have problems. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred suspended pitcher Trevor Bauer in 2021 over multiple sexual assault allegations. The key word is allegations, as Bauer has since cleared his name. But he still hasn't returned to Major League Baseball, previously claiming that the league is blocking him from making a comeback. Bauer's inability to land for an MLB team is strange since he won the NL Cy Young Award in 2020 and had a 2.59 ERA in 21 prior to his suspension. Plus, no team has enough starting pitching ever. Now a member of the U.S. Congress is getting involved. Representative Eric Burleson, a Republican from Missouri, I'm just putting it out there because they put it out there, and this is not, sent a letter to Manfred questioning whether Bauer's lack of a second chance is tied to the pitcher's previous support of President Donald Trump. Outkick has exclusively learned. Quote, Mr. Bauer was suspended for 324 games, the longest non-lifetime suspension in the history of the league, despite the fact that the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office declined to pursue criminal charges against him, citing insufficient evidence, Burleson wrote. Burleson noted that the league eventually reduced the suspension to 194 games after Bauer was cleared by the judicial system, but suggested that Manfred and MLB are trying to keep him out of the league, effectively making his 194-game suspension a lifetime one. Burleson asked Manfred whether Bauer's previous comments, specifically those in support of President Trump, and those of opposition to MLB DEI policies play a role in his continued absence. I don't believe that's the case. Okay. In 2016, Mr. Bauer publicly expressed positive views about the then candidate Donald J. Trump, including comments on social media praising Trump's campaign rhetoric and outsider status, Burleson's letter continued. Additionally, Mr. Bauer is responding to a social media post that was believed that disrespecting fellow human beings should not be tolerated, which was taken as an opposition to MLB's diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. And lastly, Mr. Bauer made a number of remarks prior to his suspension, critical of MLB and specifically you, ranging from expanded playoffs, the marketing of MLB players, and to the then refusal of MLB to investigate pitchers using sticky substances. It's hard not to wonder whether Burleson has a strong point here. With the current state of MLB pitching, it seems likely that Bauer could certainly contribute to a team. And according to Bauer, the 34-year-old former Cy Young Award winner even offered to play for the league minimum, so there aren't financial concerns. quote, given the time and severity of Mr. Bauer's suspension, it is reasonable to question whether MLB's actions were influenced more by his political stances and criticisms of Manfred at MLB than by the allegations against him, which have since been undermined by judicial review and evidentiary shortcomings. In an exclusive statement to Outkick, Representative Burleson expressed that the MLB is potentially setting a dangerous precedent regarding free speech of the league's players, and he wants that rectified. In a letter to MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred, I voiced my concerns about the league's handling of Trevor Bauer's situation. Despite no legal charges and a reduced suspension, Bauer remains silent. Stark contrast to others who've returned to play after serious incidents, one of which is Marcelo Ozuna. Burleson told Outkick, I'm troubled that his absence might reflect more than just the allegations. It could tie to his outspoken views and criticism of MLB leadership. Baseball's integrity demands transparency, so I've asked tough questions about the league's actions and processes. Fans deserve answers, and I'm pushing MLB to respond openly and promptly. Fairness and accountability matter on and off the field. I'll have a follow-up for this video. Believe me, this is kind of serious. Outkick asked Manfred and Major League Baseball for comment on Burleson's letter. It could not be immediately reached. Also, Outkick reached out to Trevor Bauer for comment, but he could not be immediately reached. Now, here's the thing. Trevor Bauer has a history that's beyond politics. This is a guy that tends to be a very strange individual within his own clubhouse. He's a guy that he has been a very troubled guy since he was a kid. Doesn't get along with teammates, has issues with a lot of people. And he's an effing weirdo, like I said. Very strange guy. When he pitched in Japan, and he pitched really well, he pitched good, he's one of the better pitchers in Japan. This was about a year or two ago. And when he was getting ready to leave, I guess there was some kind of like a horrible thing that happened in Japan where this U.S. Navy, I'm just doing this off the top of my head, some U.S. Navy, some sailor supposedly had raped or sexually assaulted a Japanese girl there, and he made, and this is Bauer, said some very offensive things to the Japanese about that situation. He wished the sailor good luck. That did not go over well, and he had to apologize for that. Just recently, pitching in the Mexican League, he was having meltdowns on the mound against the opponent, which is unusual to see that these days. This might have been not unusual 40, 50 years ago, but for today's player to act the way he was acting on the field, very strange. And of course, there was a lot of incidents with him on the mound, specifically when he was with the Cleveland Indians, that made him very much an outcast on his team. In his last start for the Indians, he had to blow up, got basically his clock cleaned by the Royals. And instead of taking it like a professional, when he was taken out of the game by Terry Francona, he took the ball that he was pitching and he threw it into center field and marched off the mound without acknowledging his manager, who's a Hall of Fame manager. So this is a guy that's had issues here that go far beyond politics. Now, this thing about politics is interesting because some things have come to light over the last 5 years about what's been going on at MLB. I've mentioned it here or there. After the 2019 season, Nike had their deal with Fanatics and MLB, and they have this sort of licensing deal where they make the uniforms and some of the merchandise. And of course, they're very close with, Nike has a close relationship with China. One of the things that happened when this deal was signed was the minor league clubs were contracted. All those jobs on these small towns and, in South Carolina and North Carolina, out west, there was the Staten Island Yankees. All those teams basically shut down. And supposedly, according to this deal, Major League Baseball agreed with China to put baseball camps in China. So we lost jobs from America and they went to China. You're talking about not only baseball players playing there that are Chinese, but we also have all kinds of towns that are probably have these camps, these baseball camps, the development camps, and they could have been minor league teams. Here's the thing: when you have a minor league team, it's not just the people around the ballpark, in the ballpark, that are doing well. You have people around the ballpark, around the neighborhoods that these ballparks are built around. And those teams and those little towns and cities, they do well during the summer years, during the summertime. They're all going. And here's the thing. The Staten Island Yankees were so pissed off because they were separately owned by, they weren't owned by the Steinbrenners. They had separate ownership. They were so pissed that they sued the Yankees. And Major League Baseball basically had to settle with them, and they had to be included into the Atlantic League, meaning that they had a developmental contract with Major League Baseball. In other words, if an older player was in the minor leagues, he could go to the Atlantic League and try to revive his career. So this was a pretty big deal. This contract with Nike had a real domino effect and a negative effect on this country. In 2020, we all remember the players taking knees, right? According to former players, one being Aubrey Huff, who's a very controversial guy, said that 90%, if not more, did not want to take the knee for the national anthem. Almost 90 to 95% of them didn't want to do it. He was outcast. He was belittled 5 years ago. Over the last 6 months, I think, a former Major League catcher, Jonathan Lucroy, said, yes, the players did not want to take a knee. They were being forced by Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is in concert and in league with China. Okay, let's be honest. And President Trump mentioned how much they're in trouble. Because we got all this deferred money and all this deferred money on the Dodgers. You can't have that kind of deferred money and think that your league is doing well. Sorry, that's kicking the can down the road. It's kicking debt down the road. Also, there's a little bit of inequity here. Bauer should not have been, looking back now on, he should not have been suspended 194 games if it was reduced. He should have been allowed. He shouldn't have been suspended to that level. We had guys that, and obviously those allegations were false. That's fine. People make mistakes. But when you have a guy like Marcell Ozuna, who strangled his wife and is still playing to this day, no one says anything about it. Nobody. Except for me. Except for your host here. And then we go to what they did with the Astros. The 2017 Astros cheated. Everybody knows they cheated. There's no repercussions to that. Nothing. No repercussions to that whole situation. And I know there's still cheating going on. There's always going to be cheating in the game. But we have to know that there's continued cheating going on in the game. If you're not going to suspend players, if there's no discipline in the players, and that goes to leadership with Manfred, by the way, then you're going to continue to have it. So as you get caught, it's no problem. But the Astros got caught, And finally, this is the problem. Like I said, Trevor Bauer he was a number 3 starter, okay? He wasn't a guy that people went to the ballpark to go see him pitch. So that's another reason why they casted him aside, to be honest with you. That's why they casted him aside. Shohei Ohtani last year was involved with this gambling with this interpreter. Look how quick justice came down hard on the interpreter. There's a thing called due process in this country where you take your time, you deliberate the information that you get on a case. Look how quickly they came up with a decision for Matsuhara. How quick they came up with that. That should tell you right away that something is fishy. Major League Baseball wanted that out of the way very quickly. CAA is the agent, Shohei Ohtani. That's the agency for Hollywood. Well, a lot of the actors belong to that agency. Well, in the last few months, CAA has signed deals with Joe Biden and that crackhead Kamala Harris. Okay? So there was a quid pro quo there to sweep that under the rug, make sure that Ohtani didn't go to prison for spending all this money, didn't get suspended. He would have gotten a lifetime suspension. You're talking about how many millions of dollars were spent? And he has nothing to do with it. Meanwhile, you had an umpire whose friend was essentially doing the same thing. He got fired. The umpire, and he was the best umpire. That umpire got fired. And for a year. They said in a year he can reapply. And he said, I didn't do anything. And Major League Baseball said he didn't do anything. Well, why'd you fire him? So there is a problem here. There is an inequity in justice in Major League Baseball right now. And Major League Baseball is in a lot of trouble. It really is. As an institution, it's in a lot of trouble. You can't have things unequal with the players, and it's so blatant, and nobody talks about it. I'll talk about it because I am, the Lone Ranger here. So I'll talk about it, especially if I think there's a problem. But the thing with Trevor Bauer is very complicated. It's not straightforward. Some of these things are very straightforward. If it wasn't because of these other things of his behavior in the clubhouse and his behavior on the field, I would say, you know what? There's some merit to this, but there isn't any. They gave themselves a reason to get rid of Bauer with these women, and once he gave them a reason, he was gone because they were tired of him. He was a headache for them, and who knows what else was going on with him behind the scenes. Well, let me know what you think about this video. Please subscribe to the Baseball Head 2, and I'll see you later. Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Head, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion. Your host, welcome back to the Baseball Head 2. I hope you like this video and hit that subscribe button. We have an update for you on the Tampa Bay Rays. I did a video on them the last couple days. And, as you know, Tropicana Field had its roof blown off, and the stadium is damaged. Now, I said in the previous video that the Rays should move. They cannot be in Tampa. I don't think there should be any team, in my opinion, in Florida at all. I don't think that those teams cannot be supported by the fan base. There is no fan base for the Rays. There's no fan base for the Marlins. And ownership should be allowed to move if they want to, specifically from there. I know Major League Baseball's been pushing them, trying to get them to sell. Well, things have come to a head, and they came to a head today. This was around 11 o'clock. Some MLB trade rumors. As the Rays continue to deal with the lasting impact of damages to Tropicana Field during Hurricane Milton, Rays owner Stu Sternberg announced this morning that his club will no longer be moving forward with the previous tentative plans to construct a new ballpark in St. Petersburg. The team's statement reads as follows. Now, we talked about the Oakland A's. The A's don't have their team there in Oakland. Oakland does not have any professional team there. They lost their basketball team. They lost the Raiders, okay? And they lost the A's. I don't know the situation completely in Tampa, but if it's a city, it's probably in shambles. I don't think it's as bad as Oakland, but it's pretty bad, I would assume. They probably cannot support, just based on that, a team. I've looked at the crime rates. I haven't looked at the area that the stadium is in. So just bear with me. As we all recover from impacts of the hurricanes, we are incredibly grateful for the support from our fans and the wider Tampa Bay community fans. After careful deliberation, we have concluded that we cannot move forward with the new ballpark and development project at this moment. A series of events beginning in October that no one could have anticipated led to this difficult decision. Our commitment to the vitality and success of the Rays organization is unwavering. We continue to focus on finding a ballpark solution that serves the best interest of our region, Major League Baseball, and our organization. Period. The city of St. Petersburg is currently advancing plans to restore Tropicana Field for the 26th season. We are thankful for their efforts and are excited to return to our home field next spring. Last summer, the Rays reached a tentative agreement to construct a new $1.3 billion stadium, part of a larger $6.5 billion redevelopment project in the historic gas plant district site in the existing Tropicana Field. The closed-roof 30,000-seat stadium was set to open in 2028, and the development plan had been agreed upon by the Rays, Pinellas County, and the city of St. Petersburg. The City Council and County Commission still need to sign off on the plan, and various benchmarks need to be hit along the way to ensure the stadium plans will remain on track. Mother Nature, of course, had other intentions. Hurricane Milton brought immense damage on Tropicana Field, leaving the Rays without a place to play for at least the 25 season, while they evaluate the cost of repairing Tropicana Field's shredded roof. The Yankees agreed to allow the Rays to host their home games at Tampa's Steinbrenner Field, home of the team's Class A affiliate for the upcoming 2025 campaign. That plan remains in place. The abandonment of the existing plan for the 28th stadium and surrounding development comes against a more recent backdrop of reported pressure from not only other owners but also MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred for Sternberg to sell the franchise. Evan Drellich of The Athletic wrote over the weekend that Major League Baseball hopes to keep the Rays in Florida. They focus on either remaining in St. Pete or construct a new facility in Ybor City near downtown Tampa, location the Rays have previously explored. Orlando has also been mentioned as an alternative. Again, just leave Florida altogether. There's no fan base there. None. There is none. Absolutely none. You got all these Northerners coming down, watching the games when their teams are in town. Now this is 2 hours later. Major League Baseball put out a statement. 1:07 p.m. Major League Baseball issued the following statement in the week of the Rays announcement. Major League Baseball remains committed to find a permanent home for the club in the Tampa Bay region for their fans and the local community. Commissioner Manfred understands the disappointment of the St. Petersburg community from today's announcement, but he would continue to work with elected officials, community leaders, and Rays officials to ensure the club's future in the Tampa Bay region. Now, after the statement by the owner of the Rays and then by Major League Baseball, the St. Petersburg mayor, Ken Welch, had this to say, and this is from an ex-post by Colleen Bright of the Tampa Bay Times. Quote, I have no interest in working with this ownership group. That bridge has been burned. Oh boy. So there's a lot of harsh feelings here right now. But again, Major League Baseball wants a team in Florida. Why, if the 30 years have not, I mean, they've had teams that have been successful. But they don't spend money because, for whatever reason, they just don't spend money. The fan base does not allow them to make it possible for them to spend money. And if they're selling the ballparks out, it's all because other teams are coming in, like the Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Cubs are going into these ballparks. And you cannot maintain a fan base. You can't have, where's their fan base? They don't have a fan base. Tampa Bay has been run really well as a team. They've been very successful over the last 15 years. They've been to the World Series in 2009, or 2008, excuse me. They've been a very successful franchise over the last 20 years. There is no reason that fans are not going there. They've had very good players down there. They've had David Price, Evan Longoria. I mean, very good players. There's no reason to see this situation be this much of a disaster in terms of the community. But that tells you that there's no fan base there. Baseball is very slow to move teams. The Montreal Expos for 10 years were dragging their feet. what they were going to do. Are they going to stay in Montreal? They're not going to stay in Montreal. And then, they moved, and then they were successful, and they won a World Series as the Nationals. The Marlins had a similar problem. But the difference is that the Marlins and the Miami area, they came up with money to build that ballpark. But nobody goes to that ballpark either. There's no fan base there either. But they're stuck down there. The Marlins are stuck down there. And like I said in the previous video, Tropicana Field was built in the 90s. So it's an old ballpark prior to the renaissance for the ballparks in the early 90s. I mean, that ballpark was built, that stadium was built before Camden Yards. And which began the renaissance of the ballparks again. But this is, in my opinion, they should move. Okay? Go somewhere else. Nashville. Go to somewhere in Texas. There's plenty of places they can go to that will support a ball club. And like I said, they've been successful. Go to another place, they'll win a World Series, and they'll have a stronger fan base, and a stronger connection with the community. The community's just not that strong. And like I said earlier in the video, I don't know the situation in the community itself. Why aren't they going there? Beyond just they're not Tampa Bay Ray fans. Because the baseball teams that are college teams, they all do well. Football is ravenous down there. So it doesn't make any sense why baseball does so poorly. But like I said, Major League Baseball is slow to move their teams. And they should be allowed to move. I mean, look at the NHL. They move teams all the time. They don't care. They'll go into a city and they leave and they come back 10, 20 years later. So that with Winnipeg. Winnipeg's a good example of that. But they should be allowed to leave. Especially if they run right. Okay, it's not a situation where it's the Marlins that are run poorly most of the 30 years of their history. This team is run well. They got a good owner. But Major League Baseball is either going to push him out or this is going to go on for a while. And they're going to continue to be a homeless team. So, thank you for watching this video. And of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Head 2, and I'll see you later.